Hello there, my name's Zoe Vogels and I'm a dairy vet down in Timboon in southwest Victoria, and Pauline's just asked me to prepare this short presentation on identifying potentially poisonous plants using a smartphone app. So one of the things about poisonous plants is that as part of any investigation into dead or sick animals, vets and also farmers need to have a logical approach. And when you look at plant poisons, they can be differentials for diseases in most body systems. So that's heart and lungs, stomach and intestines, liver and kidneys, the reproductive system, nerves, brain, muscles. So they have the potential to cause disease in pretty much every part of the body. So that means that they should always be down as a potential cause. And so we need to look for them in animals' feed and also in their environment. And when we do find plants, sometimes we're lucky and they're plants that we know, and we can say, I know that causes this particular disease, that's the problem. But sometimes we don't know what the plant is, so what do we do next? And this is where I think Seek by iNaturalist comes in. It's a smartphone app that I have on my phone. I can't remember, someone recommended it ages ago and I've downloaded it. And I just find it really useful. It's easy to use. And one of the things that I think is good about it is it'll either take in photos to identify plants directly from your camera, or else you can import photos from your camera's photo roll. So someone could send you a photo and you could put it in and try and identify it. So I just thought we'd use a quick example on key things when you're using Seek. This is the top of a paddock at our place. So my husband's a dairy farmer. This is just a part that dairy cows don't actually graze. You'll be pleased to know it's just the top of a hill and animals rarely get up there. But as you can see, there's lots of kind of plants there, and we're going to use them for a quick example. So the first one is I'm walking along. I've got my the Seek app open on my phone because I've had it downloaded for ages, and I take a photo of these little pink flowers, and it'll tell me that it's the gentian family. But then it also says, try different angles till you can get the identification to species. So it can say, I know what family it is, but I don't actually know exactly what plant it is. So I just took a slightly different photo, and then voila, it can identify it, and it tells me it's the common centaury. And I just put this slide in, and I only downloaded it maybe 15 minutes ago because I just thought it just helps put in perspective the difference between identifying plants to the family level versus the species level. So scientists like to kind of class things, and up the top here you've got the kingdom of plants with hundreds of thousands of different species. You might go then down to a class which has got hundreds of thousands of species, down to the family, so the rose family, which is only a few thousand species. The genus of Rosa only has 500 species, and then when you get it down to the actual species, obviously there's only one of them. So it just helps, having that species name really helps identify that plant exactly. So what that example was showing is that just by changing the angle of your photo, you can go from a family identification down to a species. Now this is another plant. This is a plant. I've taken a photo and it tells me straight away this is common lamb's quarters. So it's identified it to a species level. But I'm like, hang on, isn't that fat hen? I'm sure this is a plant that farmers talk about as being fat hen. I've researched it before. What's this with common lamb's quarters? So the next step is in Seek. This is the homepage. So if you click on the app, this is like the home screen that comes up, and you click on My Observations, and it'll have all the plants that you've taken photos of. And here it is, common lamb's quarters. And the important thing is to find out what the scientific name is. So that's what this is, Chenopodium album. That's the scientific name of common lamb's quarters. Then you go into Google, my favourite search engine, and you Google Chenopodium album. And it'll say Chenopodium album is a fast-growing weedy annual plant in the genus Chenopodium. And then a little bit further down it says common names include lamb's quarters, meldee, goosefoot, manure weed, wild spinach, and fat hen. So it is the same plant as the one I thought it was, but just a different name. And I think what I really want to emphasize is that identify the scientific name, because depending on where you are in the country, it'll be called something different. So whether you're in Victoria or Northern Territory or New South Wales, we all might call this plant something completely different. But the scientific name is the same. Now here's another plant from this hilly hill, and so I take a photo of it, and it tells me that it's nettle-leaved goosefoot. It is Chenopodium murali, so very similar to the fat hen we saw in the last slide, but slightly different, a different species. And it also tells me that it is also known as Australian spinach, salt green, and sourbane. Now, I guess this example, we found the plant, we know what it is, but is it likely to be toxic? And this is where you have to kind of move on from seek, because it doesn't, like, depending on what they've got for their little about the species, it might not say whether they're toxic or not. So this is where you need to go and look somewhere else. So you make sure you've got the common name and the scientific name written down somewhere, and you go to Google. It says here, nettle-leafed goosefoot, Chenopodium murali toxicity cattle. That's what I popped into the search engine. And then it says here, in this particular reference, it says that under certain conditions, nettle-leaf goosefoot may contain toxic amounts of oxalate or nitrate compounds. So I know that those will affect cattle and can be potentially toxic. So I guess where you go looking for your information about toxic plants will vary depending on what resources you have available. So I use Google. I'm also lucky in that I've got this big textbook all about toxic plants that I can look into, and it's got every single toxic plant in Australia. But not everyone's going to have this, so Google is a good place to start looking. And now I also said that you can use photos that are already on your camera roll. And this example here, so this is a photo that a farmer I follow on Twitter put on Twitter saying, does anyone know what this weed is? So I took the photo and I put it into Seek, and it says, we believe this is a member of the genus nightshades, but it couldn't identify the exact species. You can try a different angle, zoom in, or try to get a clearer shot of the organism. So what I did, obviously I can't retake the photo, but what I could do is I could rotate the photo in my phone, zoom in a little bit, and then I stuck it into Seek again, and it tells me that it's silverleaf nightshade. So just by doing a few little photoshopping bits and pieces, I was able to identify a plant. So yeah, but what I would say is this worked for this photo. Other photos that people have sent me, it hasn't worked. So ideally you have the original plant in front of you when you're taking the photo, but you can always give it a go and see if it works. And even if it doesn't give you the species name, it might give you the genus, and that might just at least help you kind of target your search a bit more. So to sum up, using Seek or really any plant identification app, because I'm sure there's a couple more out there, but I think the principles are the same. Taking good photos is really important because it can make a difference between identification of the family level up here or the genus level or down to the species. And remember, we want species identification. Second thing, it's really important to use scientific names to avoid confusion when you're talking to other people. And then the third thing is you're going to need to research further about the possibility of toxicity. So this might be someone else on the farm who might have come across it before. It might be your vet. It might be a textbook. It might be a discussion forum. There are a couple of discussion forums out there, so either on poisonous plants, or it might be a farmer discussion list or a vet discussion list. But you will have to do that little bit on your own. So anyway, all I can say is if you haven't already downloaded it during this talk, download it, Seek by iNaturalist, and then just give it a go and have fun. So if you're going for a walk, down a rail trail or, in a national park or whatever, take photos and see what it comes up with, and yeah, just have fun. Thank you.